hear all that.
In our eyes. Because we've got a great audience here today, and it's wonderful to be in Sheffield. And thank you all so much for taking time out of your day for the first of the European movement's leading, not leaving rallies. And we are pulling together people, activists from around the country. This is a cross-party organisation, and we're absolutely thrilled to have Caroline Lucas, former leader of the Green Party, a fabulous Green MP, and somebody that we have worked very closely together on lots of agendas and has appeared across the country talking about the environment when it comes to Europe and our relationship with Europe. Does Nick Clegg in Sheffield need any introduction whatsoever? Former Deputy Prime Minister, and again, somebody that all of us, I think, you know, who have, despite me being a Conservative, a progressive view about this country, feel very, very strongly, and Nick has had a very strong voice in that, and also consistently, continuously, a passionate pro-European, absolutely knowing what the UK both gets out of Europe and what the UK contributes to Europe. There's Shirley Williams, a star of the last referendum, and in many ways, you know, you did it for us in the 70s to ensure that the Labour Party actually came around and was there fighting the right battle and getting the right result. And we know that having you on our side absolutely doubles the odds in favour of us winning. But you have been an absolute stalwart on this issue, sometimes up against a lot of difficulties when it came to party politics, but also you know, out there making the case across the country. So it's a great pleasure to have you here. And Matthew Fulton, who is the Chief Operating Officer of the European Movement, a Labour activist, and very much involved in the Momentum movement that, again, we hope to be able to galvanise in this debate. So, thank you all for being here, and thank you for our fellow panellists. Everybody is going to have 5 to 7 minutes just making their case, and then really very quickly it will come to you. We want to hear your views, we want to get your understanding of what absolutely makes the case in Sheffield, because this is a campaign that needs to be won in every street, in every city, in every town. This is a campaign that is currently being run on the air wall. Ultimately, it is about us getting people out to vote. And I just wanted to outline some of the challenge. If we end up with a 40% turnout, the Remain side has to be 15 points ahead in the polls. If we get a 50% turnout, we will end up needing 7 points ahead in the polls. So our objective all here today, and through all our political networks and our other networks, is to make sure that we hit 60% turnout. With that, I know, we all know, that the British people want to stay in Europe, want to play their part, want to lead, not leave, but ultimately we have got to enthuse, excite, and also inspire them to go out on the 23rd of June. So I want to thank you as part of this team in ensuring that we get the right result on the 23rd of June. Thank you very much. I would like to hand over to Nick, who will give us his views on how we can win this, but also some of the real passion that actually is at the heart of what the UK really contributes to Europe and vice versa.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you very much to you and your team for organising this. And it's very good to see you all here in the middle of the day on a slightly grey Sheffield day, but nonetheless very good to be here in pretty sizable numbers. I'm assuming pretty well all of you are in favour of staying in the European Union. If some of you are not, I think you're going to feel a little bit lonely today, because the purpose of this meeting, as Laura has said, is really to underline why those of us who do believe that Britain's long-term future is best served by remaining in the European Union, that we work together across party lines in order to reach out to the largest number of people possible here in Sheffield and elsewhere to secure that all-important vote on the 23rd of June. I really want to just make 3 points to get the ball rolling. The first is this. The more I hear the debate, if you can dignify what we see every day on our television screens with that now, the more I hear the claim and the counterclaim and the fact and the counterfact, and all the, as Laura sort of implied, all this sort of aerial bombardment from the main protagonists, shelling each other furiously with allegation, counter-allegation over and above our heads, the more I realise that what is at stake is not actually what people think about Brussels, or Europe, or this directive, or that directive, or this fact, or that statistic. Actually, what is at stake is what we think about ourselves. That's what is really at stake. This will shape us. It'll shape what Britain will be in the future. It'll have a dramatic impact on the kind of nation, the kind of community we are for decades and generations to come. Are we going to be an open country? Are we going to be a closed country? Are we going to be engaged with the outside world or disengaged? Are we going to be generous-spirited towards others in far-flung places, or are we going to seek to turn our back on the problems of the world? Are we going to remain a United Kingdom at all? Because it seems entirely plausible, as night follows day, which is a pretty plausible thing, if you can call it plausible. You know what I mean. That if we were to pull out of the United Kingdom, and if that were to happen because of a particularly strong vote in England to leave the European Union, whilst a majority of Scottish voters voted to remain, then it seems to me Nicola Sturgeon has an unanswerable case. I would find it nigh impossible to then argue against a renewed push for Scottish independence, because the SNP, as they have made quite clear, they made no secret of this, would say, well, hang on a minute, we want to remain part of Europe, Scotland does, we're being frog-marched out of Europe against our will. The only way we can secure our continued position in Europe is by pulling out of the United Kingdom. So it's not just one union that is at stake, our place in the European Union, but it's two unions. It's our own union as well. And our country faces many, many dilemmas, many difficult choices we need to make, many crossroads that we need to navigate. But it seems to me absolutely essential, for reasons that I'll expand on a little bit more, a tiny bit later, that if we want to secure the best, safest, most sustainable, most prosperous future for ourselves and for our children and our grandchildren, we can only do that by remaining an engaged, open United Kingdom and not a dismembered, fractured, isolated country. The second point is this. The more I've listened to the arguments from the, again, if you could dignify what they say with that label, the arguments from the Brexit campaign, I mean, there are many things that inevitably anger me about what they've said, the sheer mendacity of a lot of the claims that they made. I mean, I've been through the ups and downs of politics for a long time now. I've got a pretty thick skin. But even I am pretty shocked by some of the willful mendacity of intelligent individuals who know that what they're saying is not just statistically debatable, is false, is downright false. That's bad enough. The nasty, highly personalised, offensive way in which they seek to discredit and shout down anyone who says anything they disagree with. So, Obama must be wrong because he's part Kenyan. So what an extraordinary thing to say about the President of the United States. Christine Lagarde says what she does because she's been bullied by George Osborne. Mark Carney, he should shut up, he's a Canadian, should lose his job. Everybody's just branded as a liar, as corrupt, as a charlatan, as a fool. It's a really nasty political vocabulary that has debased this campaign even more than it was bound to be, I guess, as we enter into the sort of rough and tumble phase of it. But I'll tell you the bit that makes me more angry, more than the mendacity of that campaign, more than the nasty sort of ferocity with which they seek to condemn anyone who disagrees with them on a very personalised way. It's that they won't face the consequences of the decision and the choice they want us to make. Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, Nigel Farage, they're still going to be able to pay their bills. They're not going to feel the acute economic insecurity that will ensue if we pull out of the world's largest marketplace of 500 consumers. They won't have to worry about their own economic well-being. They won't suffer the several £1,000s worth of money that families will find themselves short of because of lower investment, lower productivity, because of a run on the pound. Because, and let's remember, this is one, I'm not an economist, but I'll tell you one big economic fact that I don't think has been nearly dwelt on enough, is this: we as a country depend on the generosity of strangers. We borrow huge amounts of money every day, every week, and every month from other people elsewhere in the world who allow us to pay our way by borrowing money to us. If that stops, we have an outright economic catastrophe. And I can't see any better catalyst for that sort of merry-go-round of borrowing and debt to come to a crashing halt than pulling ourselves out of the European Union. Then, of course, people who lend this money to the United Kingdom will start asking themselves, is my money going to be safe? Is the United Kingdom going to survive at all? All of that will have dramatic, immediate and direct knock-on consequences on the livelihoods of millions of our fellow citizens. But the Brexiteers, they won't feel it. And that's what makes me more angry than anything else. There was a donor to the Brexit campaign I heard the other day who said, if we pull out of the European Union, there'll be a great deal of insecurity. And insecurity is great. It might be for him, but not for the millions of ordinary citizens who will suffer that insecurity. Arab Banks, another major donor to the Brexit campaign, said that the several £1,000s that it has been estimated, of course the estimates vary, but everyone agrees that most working families in this country will be a lot poorer if we leave the European Union. It's a price worth paying, he said. But it might be a price worth paying for him, because he can afford to, but not for others. And that's what makes me so angry, is that they advocate a catastrophic course of action, the consequences of which other people, in other words, poorer other people, will have to suffer the consequences of, not themselves. And my third and final point is this. Just imagine the European Union didn't exist. Just imagine we were all, according to the Brexit vision, hermetically sealed sovereign states, returned apparently effortlessly to a 19th century gunboat diplomacy era where the declarations in Parliament rule the waves, and we don't need to bother about what goes on the other side of the channel, we don't need to worry about the rest of the world, we reign supreme. Even if the European Union didn't exist, we would have to invent something very, very similar to it, for one big reason. I cannot think of a single dilemma or challenge or threat or opportunity which my children, I have 3 little boys, 14, 12, 7, but my children or your grandchildren, I cannot think of a single major challenge, whether it's cross-border crime, whether it's the quality of the air we breathe, the cleanliness of the water that we drink, whether it's the footloose, fancy-free gyrations of global economics, whether it's the movement of hateful, extremist and violent ideologies. All of these things cannot be dealt with on our own. And that's the great fallacy. That's the great fallacy of the isolationists, is that they talk the language of sovereignty, but actually they want to deprive future generations of the wherewithal, the capacity to control their own destiny. Because if in the modern world, if you don't work with other countries, if you don't work hand in glove with our European neighbours, our European kith and kin, then we weaken ourselves. We actually reduce our sovereignty. We significantly diminish our ability to influence those events, from international crime to climate change, to investment, to global trade talks, which will have such a dramatic impact on the livelihoods and well-being of future generations. So for those and so many other reasons, we really are engaged in a monumentally important campaign of a significance that I think is impossible to exaggerate. From the existence of our very own country, through to the sustainability of our environment, to the basic security and economic well-being of future generations. That is what is at stake. That is why it's so important you've come today. That's why I'm so thankful you are here. That's why I'm so thankful to Laura and her team for organising it. And that's why, once we have all congregated together this afternoon, I hope we will all spread out far and wide to persuade those who are presently unpersuaded that when push comes to shove, it is better for the United Kingdom to remain a member of the European Union. Thank you.